want to tender from your side?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I also just wanted to tender the apology on behalf of Chief of the National Defense Force and the Secretary for Defense. The Secretary for Defense is currently on leave, and the acting is Dr. Gamede, who is not capable of connecting at the moment. The Chief of the National Defense Force is also not present. He is just coming out of 1 meal as well. And he said I must tender his apology as well. Thank you.
Thank you so, thank you so much, General. And then I said we have two items. It's a briefing by the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans on the letter of the President dated 3rd February 2021. I will explain what that letter contains later. And then the second main item on the agenda is a briefing by the NCACC on its third quarterly report. And then the third main item is the adoption of our minutes, the minutes of the 4th of February 2020. Those are the three main items, and besides the preliminaries and the last item, that is closure. Colleagues, I want to bring that to attention. Right, the first item that we would receive a briefing on, and I said is the letter of the President. Colleagues will recall that, was it on the 4th, we deliberated on the letter that the President wrote to us, to Parliament, on the 8th of January 2021. And the title of that letter, or the heading, it reads as follows: the employment of the South African National Defence Force for service in order to preserve life, health, or property in emergency, or humanitarian relief operations in support of other government departments, and in service in cooperation with the South African Public Service in the prevention of crime and maintenance and preservation of law and order in the Republic of South Africa.
Chairperson, just a correction, it's not public service, but police service.
Oh yes, my South African Police Service. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes, in cooperation with the South African Police Service in the prevention of crime and maintenance and preservation of law and order in the Republic of South Africa. This letter that the President wrote to us follows his address to the nation on the 28th of August, 28 December, where he announced that he had decided to put the country on an adjusted level 3 from level 1, and that several of level 3 regulations were strengthened to enforce restrictions under adjusted level 3. And the employment of soldiers was part of the government's strategy to ensure that we adjusted level 3 regulations were given effect to, and that in the process we were able to preserve life and health and or property, and as it were. And that was the letter that the president wrote to us. And that employment, colleagues of soldiers, was for the period of 29 December 2020 to 31st January 2021, and the expenditure in connection thereof, the expenditure in connection therewith was estimated at 95,666,944,000 rands. And that was so communicated to Parliament, and colleagues received the message and then supported the president. There was indeed a concern, General Mapanya, that there was no one from the DOD to present the letter of the president. I think it was highly inappropriate that happened, but the colleagues, because this was not the first time that we were dealing with this issue, find it in their own, the colleagues, accepted and were prepared to condone that there was no one present, in the meeting, neither the chief of the defense force or his representative, or the minister or her representative. So we knew that the whole thing was, the gesture of the president to assist the country in disrupting the spread and of the disease, whilst at the same time, ensuring that we maintain law and order, and we preserve health and ensure that the property was protected, as it were. So that was the letter of the letter of the 8th of January that was talking to that deployment. But General, part of the things that the colleagues raised in the meeting, I think the minutes will say it, was that the letter was written on the 9th of January, when in actual fact, the deployment had kicked in from the 29th of December 2020. That was about how many days later? It was on the 8th of January, and the deployment had already happened as from the 29th of December. And so that was about 10 or 11 days after the deployment had already occurred, let alone that the committee met even on the 4th, when the deployment had already ended. You see, so we understood that it happened during holidays when all of us had retired to our villages, and but we ensured that when Parliament resumed its business, that was the first item on the agenda and to be dealt with. But colleagues said, even then, we should consider, disrupting our, leave holidays when a matter like this comes up, and so that we can then come whilst the iron is still hot to deal with the matters, as it were. I'm talking about the proverbial iron, and to deal with the matter as it were. So I now have that mandate, that as soon as I receive the letter, I will convene the colleagues to come and deal with it, and not deal with it post expo facto, after the fact. So that would correct it. But they then said whenever that is going to happen, they would the letter must reach Parliament timelessly, and so without any undue delay. So you prepare the letters, General, and I'm talking you as a representative of the Defence Force. You prepare the letters, and if you could ensure that the letters are placed on the table of the President for signature as soon as possible, so that the President is able to deliver the letter on the table of Parliament timelessly, as it were. So that was the issue that was raised. But now, concerning this one, subsequently, when I said this ended on the 31st of January, but the President saw it fit that this deployment must be extended. That is as per his letter of the 3rd February 2021, which reads, extension of employment of members of the South African National Defence Force in cooperation with the South African Police. And the effective date is from the 1st of February to the 28th, sorry, from the 1st to the 28th of February 2021. The same number is retained, 2,122 members of the Defence Force, and but the expenditure this time related with connected therewith, it's 64 million 767 100 486,000. I hope I'm correct. Yes, I think I'm correct.
Can I assist you, Chairperson? 64,776,468 rand.
Oh yes. I hope this will not be recorded by the media to say, hey, there again. And, a member of Parliament gets his numbers very wrong. Okay, no, I think you are right, Mr. Mare. You've said it all. All right, so that's the communique to us from the President. And then, so you'll present the letter, General, and you'll also talk to us about how the members of the Defence Force have been prepared for this deployment. We all know the objective is one, is to help government to disrupt the spread of the virus, and it's worldwide. It's recognized worldwide. It is recognized worldwide that it moves through a transmission. It spreads through person-to-person contact, and that because of that, many countries and responded by restricting population movement. And the result of that, we know it, we have the record, the transmission significantly decreased. And that is when government enforced the reduction in mobility and ensure that people adopt the non-pharmaceutical measures, social distancing, wearing of mask, and washing of hands. So that's all we know about this disease, and two, that the only way to combat it is when we act as we have been asked to we as we are regulated by the state. That being said, I now invite you, General, if the minister is in the meeting, and the minister, if she is not, let me just check if she has joined the meeting. It doesn't look like the meeting, the minister is in the meeting. And I'll invite the minister who will talk broadly and then decide who she asked to take us through the details. But I know that you are here and you're representing the Chief of the Defense Force. Over to you, Minister. Well, maybe is the minister's system that is logged in.
Chairperson?
Yes, Mr.
Yes,
Kabinde.
I'm told the system has been logged in so that when she comes in, she should find it ready. But
I
she's
see.
not yet in the house.
All right. So I will take her in the end. Let's hope she will come in right after the general has made his presentation, so that
Yes.
when we discuss it, we have her input as well.
Yes, we'll indicate to the chair as soon as she's in.
Please do. Right.
Thanks.
General, good morning. I'm saying good morning because I'm seeing you for the first time this year.
Honorable.
Good morning,
Chair.
General.
Morning, Honorable Chair.
Thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and Co-Chair of the Joint Standing Committee on Defense, Honorable Kaba and Honorable Nchabeleng, Honorable Minister of Defense in absentia, Honorable members of the committee. Allow me to start off by apologizing that in the first instance, it's very unmilitary for us to apologize before we start with the presentation, but suffice to say, we take this committee very seriously, specifically because it is the key to the continued functioning and the governance aspects of the Department of Defense as enshrined in our constitution, that there should be civilian oversight. We should have liked to be present and present the initial employment papers as was issued by the Commander-in-Chief. But on that note, we have said anytime when the committee would like us to be present, we will avail ourselves to the committee so that the committee can continue with the oversight role that it has been entrusted with in the interest of all South Africans. Thank you very much once again for the opportunity on behalf of the Honorable Minister of Defense and Military Veterans and on behalf of Chief of the National Defense Force to present the key tenets of the information provided by the President to this appropriate oversight committee in line with Section 201, subsection 4 of the Constitution. This information brief is structured to cover the aim, that is the scope of the presentation, which I haven't got control over the presentation in terms of the movement of the presentation. And I take it that, yes, the presentation will cover the aim, the background, mandate, force deployment, and the estimated budget, as well as finally wrapping up with comments and clarification. Honorable Chair, the aim as it's on slide 3, it's singular in that the Joint Standing Committee on Defense is briefed on the contents of the employment papers for the extension of the South African National Defense Force deployment over the period 1st to the 28th of February 2021. Chair, slide 4, 5, and 6 gives a background that touches on the President's address to the nation on the 28th of December 2020, following an increase in the COVID-19 infection rates and the concerns on non-adherence to COVID-19 regulation that in itself has put additional burden and strain on the overstretched healthcare system. The President outlined the government's response based on cabinet decision to move from alert level 1 to adjusted lockdown alert level 3. This shift led to the promulgation of the disaster management regulations for adjusted level 3 that saw an increase in the request for the South African National Defense Force cooperation with the South African Police and other government departments such as the Department of Health, Department of Home Affairs, that is in as far as the port of entry issues are concerned, and other government departments. That is the background that is actually entailed, and it is against this background that the President authorized the South African National Defense Force to deploy not more than 2,122 members in cooperation and support to other government departments. Chair, slide 7 and 8 outlines the mandate, both the initial minutes and the minutes for the extension as a way forward. So in slide 7, as you see, Chair, the initial President's minutes of number 257 of 2020, that mandated the SANDF to deploy not more than 2,122 members from the 29th of December 2020 to the 31st of January 2021. Upon expiry of the original mandate, the President's minutes 21 of 2021, dated the 4th of February 2021, was subsequently approved for the extension of this mandate to deploy once again not more than 2,122 from the 1st to the 28th of February 2021. Chair, slide 8 outlines the perimeters for the deployment of the South African National Defense Force for service, which is twofold. That is for humanitarian as well as the law enforcement component. For service, in order to preserve life, health, or property in emergency or humanitarian relief operations in support of other government departments. And the second element, it is in cooperation with the SAPS in the prevention of crime and maintenance of law and order in declared hotspots. I just want to hastily indicate that there had been identified hotspots that in terms of both the decisions that were taken at the net joints in advising the NCCC, those hotspots areas were identified. Chair, slide 9, 10, and 11 provides a breakdown of the force deployment for the mandated 2,122 members as per the presidential minute for both humanitarian and law enforcement functions. As of the 16th of February, when this presentation was prepared, the operationally deployed effective strength was 1,210. In this case, in slide 9, it touches on just but one of the humanitarian relief deployments, which is the support to the identified hotspots port of entry. That is Bait Bridge, Lubombo, Maseru Bridge, as well as Fixback, where the department provided port health support, scanning teams, screening teams, and testing teams. Slide 10 shows the identified hotspots for law enforcement responsibilities in line with the differentiated approach, which was defined by the net joints and endorsed by the NCCC, and those were Limpopo, Gauteng, KZN, Eastern Cape, and Western Cape. This slide also outlines some of the activities by the air component of the South African National Defence Force in both conducting humanitarian as well as law enforcement aspects for the defense in support of our people. Slide 11, Chair, continues to provide an account of the support to Bait Bridge port of entry, which was flooded with unruly truckers that blocked the port of entry in protest by parking along the road and in the road itself, thus blocking access to the port of entry. So the Department of Defense, as part and parcel of this, the responsibility, provided the heavy-duty recovery capability and cleared the entry to the port of entry. Chair, this slide also accounts for the 912 members for the mandated 2,122 members that are always on a 25-hour standby. Allow me to hastily indicate, Chair and members of the committee, that part of these members that were put on standby were also utilized during Cyclone Eloise, specifically because that is part and parcel of preserving lives. And this is the part of the 912 which were also included on the 2,122 members that we were not to exceed. Chair, slide 12 provides us with a breakdown of the estimated budget for the entire extension period, which the presidential minute stipulated that it should not exceed 65,90,486 rands. Chair, that is the breakdown. I see that the breakdown seems to be obscured by the present attendance list. But having said that, Chair, I want to touch that out of the estimated total strength of 2,122, the HR cost for the entire operation in terms of our estimate was looked at 48,186,564. And this includes of both the reserve force wages as well as allowances and the meals. And the other element of the budget, Chair, included goods and services. That is for the day-to-day, both temporary base maintenance, administration, domestic services, and transport. Chair, the other element of the budget that we estimated was for the aircraft, which we have already partially utilized up to so far. We had the Caravan that we estimated to utilize it at 4 hours per day, and the Oryx at 4 hours per day as well, and the Augusta at 3 hours per day. The Caravan, or the C-208, is predominantly utilized for command and control, whilst the host force of the Defence Force, the Oryx, is utilized for various activities and tasks ranging from hosting as well as supply and support both to the troops and to the stranded people. The vehicle running cost was looked at to be 1.8 million, and the total estimated expenditure by that time was sitting at 65,090,486. Honorable Chair, members of the committee, that is in brief what was entailed in the letter that the Commander-in-Chief requested humbly to the oversight committees and was then afterwards given the thumbs up by this most important oversight committee. I submit so far for any other clarification, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General. Lieutenant General Mapwanya is the Chief of Joint Operations. Part of the SNDF delegation, we have Major General Ramatswana, and from the DOD side, I'm sorry. In other words, we have Lieutenant General Mapwanya and Major General Ramatswana representing the SNDF, and Dr. Tobele Kamede from the Department of Defense, but all collectively from the Department of Defense. And I'm not too sure if I can now recognize the minister if she has joined the meeting. All right. It doesn't look like the minister is in the meeting yet. And colleagues, the matter is now on the table. And let me just go to the check. Let me check on the system who has raised a hand. All right, Mr. Murray, you are first.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Much appreciated. Thank you, General, for the presentation. My question is two-part. The one is just about the operation, and then I just want to talk about the money just very shortly. In terms of the operation, if I pronounce it correctly, please help me. Likolo, Operation Likolo. How does Operation Likolo differ from Operation Notlela? If I compare the authorization letters from the president, it seems like the same purpose that there is, but maybe there's a difference. You can just assist me with that. And then I read in the president's letter, again, similar to the previous one, that it is to assist government departments and in cooperation with the South African police. Now, if I understand, the one part is the Constitution, and the other one in terms of authorization is the Defence Act. And if I understand that correctly, that when they operate in support or in cooperation with the South African police, they are always under the command of the police. In other words, when they apprehend someone, they must hand them over to the police, etc. So I just wanted to find out what is that the position of the Defence Force, and or is the Defence Force the leading department and entity in this case? Then I also want to ask in terms of the operations, seeing that you have mentioned the points of entry that we have also visited, end of last year. Would this be just additional staff members at the point in support of, for instance, Home Affairs and Customs, or is it in terms of additional land border units that have been deployed there? In terms of the financing, I just wanted to ask, and I'm very glad this is the first time that we have received a breakdown, which we have requested again and again, and thank you very much for that. There's a huge difference between February and January. January was 95.7 million, whereas February is only 64.8 million. That is about 31 million rand difference between the 2 months. Why is that? That sounds to be substantial decrease in what was then estimated to be spent in January. And I want to understand whether it was in terms of a zero-based budgeting that you have done it, or was it really just a desktop exercise and thumbsuck basically, and no scientific or calculation behind that? I'd want to understand that. And then in terms of the funding, we know that in the past, the instruction was always find it within your own budget. And we all know how does the Defence Force budget look like, and in terms of how scarce funding is within the budget, and that more and more money is taken away from maintenance and equipment. So I want to know where would that probably be coming from, and from which expense items. And then lastly, has anyone briefed the Commander-in-Chief that what we actually require is every time that there's a deployment, that additional funding should actually be coming from National Treasury? I just wanted to know whether there was any interaction with the Commander-in-Chief in that regard, because this is actually stealing from Peter to pay Paul, and we know that the defense budget cannot really stand and withhold this. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any other colleagues? Right, it doesn't look like we have any. Oh, yes, Mr. Mafanya.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much, the General. Only a few questions, only two actually. On the Joint Tactical Headquarters, does it include the police, Home Affairs, and SAPS, and yourselves? And if so, there has been a concern on Beitbridge, Mbombo, Maseru, and Fixbeck because of congestion that you addressed at some point. But people died today, and people stayed for days on end without food, water. Others died of dehydration. Now, on your assessment, because whom do you attribute the death to or injuries to on those people? And what was the additional input on our counterparts in Lesotho, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique? That's all that I wanted to find out. What responsibilities did you share whereby we had to lose people in that aspect? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Those were the two questions from the two colleagues. Over to you, General Mafanya.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. And once again, thanks to both Honorable Mare and Honorable Mafanya for raising these important issues. It's cause for concern for all of us. I would like to start off by responding to the first part of Honorable Mare's question. In terms of Operation Liqolo, may Honorable Mare, it's
Is it just me or is the general?
It's I think it's the general.
Swati, I just want to, how does it differ from Notlela? Hello?
Yes.
Honorable,
sorry, General.
the first question.
General, you had disappeared. You were trying first to explain the the name, what it means, then move to how is it different from Operation Notlela?
Yes, I was coming to that aspect of Operation Likolo as opposed to Notlela. In terms of Operation Notlela also was approved and it was concluded. The debrief was done. In terms of the content, it may seem the same in as far as responsibilities are concerned, but the intensity will differ, because if you remember, when we registered Op Notlela, we were still at alert level 5. And Notlela was meant for a wide variety of taskings, which are also inclusive of some of the taskings that are in Op Likolo. The idea of registering another operation is based on the fact that the authority for Notlela, as it expired, we couldn't resuscitate Notlela. So we were forced to start with the appreciation of the current requirements in terms of issues that will be required during adjusted level 3, which actually excludes some of the tasks, though it is seen to be similar to be supporting the police. The scope of the tasking had changed. So when certain elements of the mission changes, the entire mission now is registered again. And also, it is also for the purpose of audit, because each operation is seen as a unit, and when it is opened, it must be closed. So the unit code then closes and it's audited such that all governance aspects are looked at. That is the reason why we had to register an independent operation, and this operation was purely to allow that governance aspect cannot be overlooked. Honorable Chair, I would like also to respond to the second aspect of the same issue in terms of operations, that there are two elements that we have raised in the presentation that is included in Op Likolo, both in cooperation with the SAPS and in support of other state departments. In terms of in cooperation with the SAPS, Honorable Mare, in terms of what the Constitution tells us, is correct, and whatever we do in law enforcement element of the operation, we do it in cooperation with the police, and therefore the South African National Defence Force cannot do any form of police work or arrest without the cooperation with the police. All the operations in terms of law enforcement aspects are done and conducted in line with the planning that takes place at the provincial JOG, because the national JOGs cannot determine things on the ground. And as we have identified the hotspots in each and every province, we do have members that sit in the provincial JOG, and those are the people that determines the areas of operations and issues that needs to be conducted within those areas of operation. Yes, indeed, in whatever action that we do in law enforcement aspects, we do it in conjunction with the South African Police Service. We are not the leading agents with regard to this aspect. And when it is the issue of humanitarian support, we also do it as a result of the appreciation that is done, the appreciation and the planning that is done at the Prof joints, because the very same principle applies when we go for humanitarian aspects, because it is the Prof jobs that determines the requirements, and that request is forwarded mainly via the net joints, but at the end of the day, implementation is done by elements that are within the specific areas as deployed. The other last aspect of Honorable Maray's question is in terms of the question of the support that we are rendering to the port of entries, whether this is the expansion of the border enforcement agency, or rather the responsibility of OP Corona. This is not the same elements that are deployed for border safeguarding. This is over and above elements that, because of the request that had been forwarded by both the Department of Health as well as the Department of Home Affairs to provide with the support at the various port of entries, we have dedicated members that had to go there and support. There are various activities we have also, other than providing members that were doing screening, because we felt that when we were allowing people to come through the borders, that is the port of entries, we discovered that there was a challenge from the Department of Health as well as Home Affairs in terms of screening as well as the testing aspects. So the request was made to the Department of Defense, and we provided them with members of the military health services as well as the protection element that was required in those port of entries. I just want to once again indicate that the cooperation was in line with this mandate that was given to the defense in terms of OPLICOL. I hope I have touched on the operational part of Honorable Maray's question. Allow me, Honorable Chair, to delve into the second part of Honorable Maray's question that hinges on the issue of the difference between the January and the February budget estimate. Allow me to say that when we did the appreciation, the total number of people that we estimated remains the same. And that was the estimate. And I think the correct wording would have been not to exceed the 95 million in the first one, because up to so far, even the 95 up to so far had not yet been reckoned completely, and we will be able to determine in terms of the overall picture, because the January breakdown of what had been used had already been consolidated. We need to get all the issues audited before we can vouch on the total cost. However, it is true that there is a difference between what had been estimated for the January deployment versus what had been estimated in the February estimate. I want to hastily say again that the content of the letter indicates we should not exceed that estimated budget, implying we can go below, but it must not be over the projected budget. And that is an estimate, and we always look at the worst case scenario, because that is how we should do our budgeting and planning. But it is based on empirical evidence that we keep and collate in terms of what will be required, what may be required during this operation. And should it happen that we use less, we will be very open and say, we have used up to this much, and this is what remained. And we are not shy to report that where there are savings, we appreciate that those savings can be used for any other aspects. Allow me to indicate that the principle is that when the presidential minute is signed, the expectation is that there should be money that National Treasury should provide to us. Yes, that is the correct principle. But I want to hastily say, Honorable Chair, that with regard to Operation Lekolo, we did what Honorable Murray said, we might have robbed Paul to pay Peter. But what we did was to look at the savings that we had made, and then start looking inward before going outside and say, should there be additional requirement, will this be covered from the savings that we had in the previous element of Lekolo? And hence, we didn't ask at this point for any additional funding. I hope I have tried to respond, and if there is anything more on it, I will really gladly shed light for the committee. Allow me to move to the next question by Honorable Mafanya. In terms of this question, I tried to touch on it when I was responding to the question by Honorable Mare, that our operation is based on the understanding that the planning is decentralized to the provincial JOG, such that the provincial JOG are represented by all entities, inclusive of the police, the National Defense Force, as well as elements of the Home Affairs, if issues that are to be addressed has something to do with that entity. But the more ideal issue is for all the departments to be represented. I wouldn't like to delve into the omissions in terms of attendance, because those are administrative issues that the respective prof joints needs to handle, and it is handled through liaising and interaction with the departments. But the structure caters for representation by all responsible entities. Honorable Chair, I want to hastily say that the question that Honorable Mafanya raised of people that died, there are no people that died in the port of interest. There is one reported case that we know, which actually was never in the domain of the defense. The defense had supported the effort in terms of what had been requested to provide for the elements that were there. And in as far as both the police and Department of Home Affairs, who are more competent to report on this matter, there hadn't been people in as far as what we picked up from the net joints But I don't think I will be able to be competent to vouch or speak on behalf of entities that are not represented, because it's unethical of me to speak of other departments that are not represented in the committee. So the question of that those who have died, the issue of dehydration, it was widely reported, and it is not everything that the media reports, and especially when it comes to matters that are of negative publicity, that we should always believe in. What I picked up through the media and as well as interaction with other state departments is the position that I had been trying to articulate, that the only one that we know is the member, that the person that died, and it was not as a result of neglect, because there is water and there are facilities at the port of entry. But let me not get into the details, because that is what other state departments can vouch on. However, I would like to indicate that in all matters that required the Department of Defense had been responsive, and we have acted within the confines of our mandate. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, colleagues. I think that takes care of all the questions that the colleagues asked. Let me thank you, General, both for the presentation and the manner in which you have responded to all the questions. I'm really satisfied that you have done very well on both matters. And it's interesting that the Defense Force is the last line of defense, and but it also stood ready to move to the front and occupy the front line trenches together with the police and the other health workers and other people who we consider as our frontline staffers. They've done a sterling job, and that at some point we recorded the reduction in transmission was largely owing to our frontline staffers who responded to the call of the president and who led this country ably and made everyone to have a singular purpose, that is or was to combat the spread of the virus. And thank you very much for supporting the Commander-in-Chief and in his in fight against the disease. The good thing is that is one campaign or program that mobilized people across party political lines. They may differ on the areas of emphasis, but they were all in unison in saying that we've got to take our people out of this, save life, but at the same time ensure that there's some livelihood going on. We really thank you. We really thank the president and for this. Colleagues, I think we will do what we have done before when we first received the employment papers from the president. We knew why he did it, why he employed the SNDF. All was clearly stated in his letters, the purpose, the budget, and where the members will be deployed. and the chief joint operations did not, in whose hands the members were entrusted by both the commander-in-chief and the chief of the South African Defence Force, did not disappoint us. General Mapanyo, you did not disappoint us, I must say. Colleagues, I guess we support this. Any comment?
Chairperson, just from my side, thank you to the General for his responses. That was quite good, except for the fact that at some other stage he must just talk to us about these empirical evidence and what made it so huge difference, but otherwise fantastic. I just wanted to make a comment. Obviously, I don't think it's for us to approve or this. If I read the Constitution correctly, he must just inform us. So we must basically take notice of this. If I understand, the Constitution correctly in terms of this, maybe you can just help me and assist me with that.
No, we do write to Parliament informing them that we supported the deployment. We can do one of the two things: support or report or recommend to Parliament differently. In which case, the President will be forced to act accordingly. But in this case, we are supporting it. Agreed? There's no objection.
Agreed.
Right. Thank you so much, Ms. Kos. With that, let me thank you, General and Major General and Dr. Kamete for helping us navigate through this item. And you are excused. Right, the next item, colleagues, is the NCACC report.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Chairperson,
Sorry. The General is still talking. Sorry, General. I will recognize you after that. Afterwards, Mr. Murray. General.
I am lost now.
Yes, you are still talking, General.
Maybe the General wants to tell us something.
I was just saying thank you very much for the opportunity, and on behalf of the Minister, I really appreciate the support that we get from the committee, and we will continue to be of value to the people. And on that short note, I therefore throw smoke. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Good evening, General. All right. Thank you, colleagues. Can we then move to the second item?
Chairperson, just before we move to that item, I've not objected in terms of what we have just approved it, but if I read Constitution 2013, it says when the Defence Force is employed for any purpose mentioned in subsection 2, the President must inform Parliament promptly and appropriately. That's it. So I don't think there's any, whether we want to consider that. It is once there is a state of defense, that's a different article in the Constitution. So that's why I merely asked that question, because it doesn't say that we have to consider it. You just have to inform Parliament.
Yes, but it's referred to us for consideration and report back to Parliament.
Okay, thank you.
Fine.
That's good.
Yeah. All right. Let's leave the legalese. Let's leave the legalese for now, and let's move to the second item, the NCACC item. And do we have anyone from the NCACC, Pat?
No, Chair.
And why?
Chairperson.
Yes,
Chairperson.
Yes, Mr. Minister, good evening.
Good evening, Chairperson. Good evening, honorable members. I'm sorry for being late. I had an emergency. Chair, just to say that the NCACC report usually is presented by the chairperson of the NCACC. I do not have that mandate. However, Chair, if you want the, what you call the scrutiny committee to present that report, I think the scrutiny committee should be informed so that they can come and present a report. Because I'm just thinking, considering that Minister Mthembu, who is chair of the NCACC, is no more. And president, it's not assumed that any person takes over the NCACC. President has then to make up his mind as to who should take over from Minister Mthembu. Now, on our side as the Defence Force, all we do is to provide secretarial services to the NCACC. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Yes, no, thanks, Minister. No, Minister, we have inquired into that matter of the third quarterly report. And Advocate Jele on the 4th of February said to me, the report had served before the NCAC approved and signed off by the late Minister Mthembu. All what was all what needed to be done was to table the report. And I never thought that the report will not be tabled up until we meet today. Today is the 18th. When we parted, I said to him, I think we still have enough days to have the third quarterly report tabled, since it's been cleared by the NCACC committee. And I expected Minister Lamula, but will correct me if I'm wrong, to table the report, which was on behalf of the NCACC, because everything had been done, report considered and signed off by the chair of the NCACC. I'm aware that the president hasn't.
No, that's fine.
Yes,
that's fine.
Yes, Minister. I'm aware that the president hasn't designated the chair as yet. And it is in that context, Minister, that we have delayed the fourth quarterly report. We know that it will be coming up. We will be meeting sometime towards the end of February to consider both the fourth quarterly report and the annual report. We then said, it's fine. We'll deal with those when you have looked at it, adopted it, and signed it off, and tabled in Parliament and referred to us. So what concerns me, Minister, is this delay. You see, Advocate Jele comes to us and say, "Hey, you know what? We thought the report would be tabled by now." And so I said, "But why are you making your problem my problem?" You see? No, not you. Not you. I'm saying, Advocate Jele, why is he making his problem our problem? You see, because on the 4th, he was supposed to go to the minister, to the deputy chair of the commission, and said, the report is ready. All it needed is to be sent to Parliament so that we can then, to clear the way for it to be considered here. But that never happened. Instead, it comes back to us and making his problem our problem. That's a point I'm raising. And I don't think it's is the effective way of discharging his responsibilities. His is to impress upon the executive. I know the executive authorities are always busy, unless you bring something to their attention and also express the urgency of the matter, and they will not remember that there is this outstanding matter that is to be executed. So now he's not even in this meeting. He knew that the item was on the agenda, and that just even to come courtesy of explaining his difficulty in bringing this matter to the attention of Minister Lamula. I mean, it's uncalled for. I mean, Advocate Jele is really letting us down. Hence, Minister, we thought
I will check that, Chair. Chair, I will check that, because honestly, I thought you expected me to present the report, so that's why I was a bit stressed about it. But if you are saying you were expecting, yes, you are correct to expect Advocate Jele, because he's the one who processes this matter through to the scrutiny committee. So I will check with them why the report is not here and why the report has not been tabled, because what they need to do indeed, because there is no chair, is to hand over to Minister Lamula for now, and for Minister Lamula to then come and present the report.
Exactly.
So I will then check that, Chairperson.
Thank you so much, Minister, for that. Mr. Ryder, you wanted to say something? Mr. Mare and Ms. Kosi, in that order, please. Thank you very much, Minister.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairperson. I'm sorry, my signal is extremely bad, and I hope I'm not cutting out still. Chair, it was just to say, there is a committee. There's several ministers on the committee. We all saddened by the passing of Minister Mthembu, and he was a great man, and I think we should pay him our respects as a committee as well. However, the work must continue. And one of the other ministers should have stepped up as vice chairperson of that committee, and we should be getting a presentation. That's the bottom line, Chair. You've said it, I'm reiterating it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Marin.
No, I just want to echo what Honourable Ryder has said, and I am fully in support of your position. It's just unacceptable. The third quarter has passed long time ago, and as you have reported to us, it was approved by the committee. So there should actually be no reason why at this stage, when we have finished the fourth quarter already, that we haven't received the third quarter. So that's just totally unacceptable. And if required, maybe you must write to the NCACC, because we must not now pass the buck to the Minister of Defence. She's just a member of that committee. But it is unacceptable. We cannot be held responsible for doing our oversight work if we do not get the information. Then we must do something about that, and that's our responsibility. So I support you fully. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mare. Mr. Nkosi. Sorry, Chairperson.
Chairperson.
Yeah. So sorry, can I take Madam Nkosi, Honorable Nkosi, before I recognize the Minister? I think you'll
don't.
Thank you very much.
It's terrible, no? Please, thanks.
Chairperson, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Let me also thank the Minister for maybe indicating that and echoing our views that it is incorrect that Advocate Jele is not here. Worst part of it, the report is with us here, and he didn't bother to send anyone at least to come and present the report. So that is my serious concern, as to say why the report was sent to us, and at the same time there'll be no one who's going to present that report. I take it as if we are not taken seriously as this committee, Minister. And it's our serious concern. The chairperson is quite correct that he should be here with us so that he can table that report, or at least give the explanation that you are giving to us. But unfortunately, he's not here. And really, we are raising a serious concern regarding that. Thank you very much, Chair.
No, thank you very much, Ms. Kosi. And the report has not been released as yet, but was signed off. Had been through the NCA. When I say the committee, I mean the NCACC committee. All it needed was to ask the Minister to table it on behalf of the collective. I'm happy that the Minister has taken responsibility to convey the message to the collective. I'm sure when they meet, I think they're meeting sometime before the end of this week, or this month, she will convey that we took exception to the fact that the report was due, Minister. Is the report as at the end of September, by the way. Remember, they are using a calendar year, you know, that's the third quarter we're talking about, and which was which was processed long time ago. And okay, Minister, we thank you very much.
No, I just wanted to, Chair, if you allow me, please. I just wanted to firstly apologize on behalf of Minister Lamola. And I'm apologizing not because I know why he is not here, but I'm thinking if Jele is not here, who should have been here to come and provide support to Minister Lamola? You may actually find that Minister Lamola is not even aware. So that is why I'm saying I'm really sorry and I'm apologizing on his behalf. I will convey the message to Minister Lamola, and maybe as early as possible, Minister Lamola should then come and present the report. Any one of the ministers in the committee can accompany him to come and present the report. But I'm not sure if he would just stay away because as you say, the report has long been adopted. I don't think he would just stay away without a reason. It is possible that it may be possible that Minister Lamola may not even be aware that he was expected to table the report. So I will talk to him, and hence the apology from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister.
May I withdraw, Chair?
Yes, Minister, we have concluded this item. Thank you very much for your participation. General Mapanywa executed the first item very well. We really are appreciative of that, and we commended him. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Colleagues, the last item on the agenda is the minutes of the 4th of February. So colleagues, this is the attendance record of the minutes. So the minutes were to do 4 things, considering the minutes of the 19th of November, considering the letter of deployment, the one before this one that we have considered today, we have been considering today, and that is for 28 December to 31st September. And then the consideration of the first term program and the consideration of an adoption of the annual report. All right, this is the attendance. Okay, just quickly go through it. I hope there is no issue with the attendance. Just go, there's no correction. Go down. Go down. Right, so that I think, oh yes, okay, that completes the attendance record. And then you go to the minutes. Just go down. All right, so that's the consideration and the discussion. Let me just check what was agreed under discussion. Just go back. Just go back again. All right. Just go back. Just go back. I think that's. Go back. Right. This is a discussion on the letter. Yes. Just go down. I want to go. Just zoom in on the discussion. Please reflect the whole 2.1. Suspect. There you are, the whole 2.1. All right, so this is the discussion arising from that. It was agreed that whenever a letter from the president is received, especially during recess, the chairs should call an urgent meeting to consider such letters. It was suggested that more information should be provided on how the funds allocated for deployment would be expended. The department needs to provide the committee with the breakdown of the expenses for this and future deployments. Mr. Klaba referred the committee to the legal opinions by parliamentary legal advisors in 2003 that addresses the same issue regarding the period within which President should inform Parliament on the deployment. He noted that the word promptly in section 211.3 of the Constitution was interpreted to mean without unreasonable delay, and such no specific period could be attached. He undertook to forward the legal opinion to members. And all right. And then there was, okay. Just go down, and then we accepted the draft with amendment. Got down, the draft program. Can go down.
Chairperson, that legal opinion we have not yet received, eh?
You have not. You, yeah, my apologies. But you do have it. You do have it. But I'll refresh your email. And just go down now. Please reflect the whole of 3. Colleagues, are there any corrections on the whole of 3? Right, the whole of 3, yes. Are there any corrections there? The whole of 4? All right. It looks as though there are technical glitches. Colleagues, we have read the minutes. Are there any corrections you want to effect?
Nothing from my side, Chair.
From your side, any other?
None, Chair.
None, Chair.
None, Chair.
None. Thank you so much. It looks as though the meeting, Ms. Bukos is moving, and
Yes, Chair.
Martha Bartlett is seconding.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you so much. And
no, Martha was not in the meeting, Chair.
Come again?
Oh, you Bartlett was not part of the meeting.
Oh, Bartlett was not in the meeting. Oh, I see. Of course, were you in the meeting?
Yes, Chair. I wanted to support Honorable Duke because Bartlett was not in the meeting. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think we've reached the end of the meeting. Colleagues, thank you very much for your attendance. We are together in Pretoria. I know Dennis Ryder is not available because of...
Me too, Chair.
And you, because... Oh,
yes. Yes.
All right. Oh, okay. So those are the 2 approaches for tomorrow. With that, I wish to thank all of you for taking your time out to be part of this meeting. Thank you so much, colleagues.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thanks, Gus. Thanks.
Vote.
Sharp.